Well, I was busy talking about the Wuhan Aries Ingress. This is part two of what will amount to several parts where I'm talking about the charts that I drew for the various pandemics. So there in the green where I've highlighted, you can see the emphasis on first house planets. This is what I was finding a lot, is quite a lot of significant first house planets. It's probably because the first house is synonymous with the body, with the public, with physicality, with your way you approach life. And pandemics affect everything, like with the social distancing. They affect our body, they affect how we approach life, approach people. There's a general shutdown in society. That's why you see the emphasis on the first house. In the magenta, you can see the Sun conjunct Chiron, which you're going to get because it's also the Aries Ingress of 2019. Interesting to see Neptune rising in Pisces. So Neptune conjunct Mercury in the turquoise, they're right on the ascendant. We know that Neptune is all about influenzas, pandemics. Mercury is related to the lungs and pneumonia, and that's right there on the ascendant, synonymous with body. What also this strong place of Neptune says to me is the mystery, because right now we've got no idea what's going on in Wuhan. Have they got it under control? People still seem to be under lockdown. Has China got it under control? Did it originate in the biolab? Was it planted there? Did it come from the market? You know, we've all got our theories. The mystery about the origin is so synonymous with Neptune on the first representing the beginning, the genesis, and Neptune representing that confusion. You see there in the red, the fourth house cusp representing manner of death is in Gemini, representing death by pneumonia. Of course, right up there you see in Capricorn, Pluto conjunct Saturn, which is also on the south node, extremely unlucky. The eighth house of death is ruled by Venus because it's in Libra, and Venus is on the ascendant. So the ruler of the house of death is on the ascendant. So for Hubei, just to recap, Sun conjunct Chiron, which you see there in the magenta, Neptune rising in Pisces, conjunct Mercury, conjunct the ascendant, which is in the turquoise. Jupiter is actually on the midheaven there. I didn't highlight it. Sun, which rules the sixth house of health, is of course conjunct Chiron, which is synonymous with disability, disease, and they are opposite the moon in Virgo, Virgo representing health. As I said, once again, Venus, which rules the eighth house of death, is actually in the 12th house. 12th house, again, was important symbolism for pandemics. And Venus is square Mars. You'll see there Mars is in Taurus, 23 degrees of Taurus conjunct Algol. I actually didn't highlight Mars, but you'll see it there on 23 degrees of Taurus conjunct that very unlucky fixed star Algol. So there you go. Also important was, I was just saying, was Venus ruling the house of death, square Mars, which rules fevers. Pluto, of course, is on the south node, very unlucky, and Pluto rules viruses. Pluto's conjunct Saturn, which rules disease. Here we have the chart, the Aries Ingress for 1917, before the Spanish flu. Right away in the magenta, you see Sun conjunct Chiron. Chiron is approaching the Sun, indicating that it would next year conjunct the Sun, the following year be separating, so it lasted 3 years. Again, there in the green, I'm indicating all the first house planets, talked about the importance of those first house planets. So we have Saturn and Neptune, Saturn conjunct, Saturn symbolizing disease, Neptune pandemic and pneumonia in the sixth house of health. Moon, which rules the unlucky sixth house, is in the first house, bringing that kind of bad luck, unfortunately, to the first house. We have Saturn on the south node in the sixth house, adding to the unluckiness. Any planet falling on the sixth house is magnified in its effect. Therefore, Saturn bringing more symbolism of disease to the sixth house of health. And we have Mercury conjunct and Mercury, yes, and of course Mercury is in Neptune. What you also see is that the fourth house, which rules manner of death, is in Gemini, and I said Gemini was linked to influenza and pneumonia. So there's that linkage going on again. So in this chart we've got the strong first house, lots of planets, Venus ruling the eighth house of death in the first house. Mars, which is also synonymous with fever and pandemics, is there in the first house, all in Pisces, which of course is synonymous with pandemics and influenza as well. And you've got Saturn, the planet of disease, on the very unlucky south node, sitting there in the sixth house. There will be another part where I'll be looking at the Washington Ingress chart for 1968, have a look at the influenza that broke out in 1968, and looking forward to the Ingress chart for 2020 in London.